Yep.
It is the Living Raw podcast, episode 2. It is January 1st, 2019. Welcome to the new year. It is 8 o'clock at night here down in Chicago at the WeWork. Jacob is rocking it in Grand Rapids, Michigan right now.
No, still 9 p.m. Still working on that hour timeline difference. But we still got a lot of shit to share, so we got to get the ball rolling. What are we talking about today, Austin?
So we are hearing Jacob's story. Last episode, I recorded my story, kind of where I am, where I've come from. We're doing that this week with Jacob, so we have content in the future to refer back to. And and people kind of understand where we're coming from, and we can continue to build the brand from there. So, Jacob.
Awesome. I want to take notice that the lights behind you just went off. Everybody else in the WeWork, it is January 1st. No one is in there to the point to where the motion sensor lights just went off. So
they often do.
On the back right there for a quick Awesome. So, I mean, I guess we could start from the beginning, would be the OG way, and then we'll kind of segue into how I kind of come to the picture here and out of it and back into it. But kind of funny that we ended up in Chicago, where Grozier sits now. So it's actually where I'm from originally, right? So I was born on the south side of Chicago to wonderful Josephine and Kevin. Loved it, lived it up. We lived with my grandma for about a year or so, year or two. My parents did great. They were together till I was about 5 or so, about 5 years old. Long story short, they bought a house that they couldn't afford. You know, they were 19 and 21 when I was born. A little stressful, if you can imagine. And things didn't work out so hot. So they got divorced, and we ended up living with my mom. And then we'll fast forward even further. You know, we moved 14, 15 times by the time I was 8. And then we ended up living on the northwest side of Chicago for, same spot for a couple of years. And it was great. So I was always a loud, obnoxious kid, always asking why. I was always bothering people. Really, really good at school. Super smart, had lots of fun, whatever it was. Started getting more social when I was in like second, third grade. And that's where it all starts. I found out I was a little shit really quickly and loved it. Loved it. It was lots of fun. Went through grade school. School was easy. That was fun. It was just me, my sister, my mom. We'd see my dad on weekends all the time. And it was a lot of fun. We did good. Kind of understand, at least at this point, looking from it now, where, some of the issues they may have had come in. They just totally weren't a good fit for each other. But, background on my mom kind of being in the situation that she was in, things were a bit high-strung. She's got 2 kids, both loud and obnoxious and whiny and doing everything that all kids do. But she worked downtown. Started at like 7 every morning, trans systems building, doing like city planning, logistics stuff, and working in that office and killing it. They paid her well enough to feed the 3 of us and pay rent. Rent ain't cheap in Chicago, especially not cheap after you just closed out on a house, claimed bankruptcy, all that good noise. So, but we did pretty good. She would leave early in the morning. We'd kind of walk ourselves over to school. We'd walk back, hang out, go over to Park District after school, and then she'd come pick us up. And we'd be good to go at about 7 o'clock, kind of all sit down, do our thing, talk about how's the day go. Your 7-year-old kid, it was good. Don't want to talk about anything, all that fun stuff. And as things kind of move forward, get into grade school, started getting a little bit older, 12, 13, 14, started getting into a little bit of trouble. Like any young male, who like to be obnoxious, like to get in a couple of fights and things like that sometimes, but all in good fun. Never anything too mean. And then I went to high school, actually, one of the biggest high schools in the city, Slane Tech. It's awesome. Always proud, always represent. And kind of went into it with a little bit of a poor mindset, right? I mean, I was 13, 14 years old, like to smoke a lot of weed, do dumb stuff. And got really, really, really into the graffiti scene in Chicago, which was really cool. And a 13, 14-year-old kid was always fascinated with art and things like that. School was easy, so I didn't have to put much time and focus into that. You could just kind of roll through the day, half-assed, half-minded, and then hop out afterwards and go have some fun. So I spent a lot of time outside of school, tagging, sneaking out of the house at night, and just being a little bit reckless, right? But always loved the adventure portion of it, all the exploring I got to do, all the crazy people we got to meet. And mostly I think the biggest thing is like to be different, right? And so like with the way things were at home with my mom, I always felt kind of bad, I was kind of stressed. Then my little sister didn't get along all that well. just because, 8 years old and kind of had to watch over, take care of her. We both felt like we were
Mm-hmm.
parents in the role. And it doesn't really do shit. It's
Yeah.
a lot of dumb stuff, but it was a lot of fun. And so gave my mom a little bit of hell while going through all that. She met my stepdad. They had moved in together. Did great. Lots of ups and downs throughout the relationship. Kind of rocky to begin with, but coupled with my angsty teenage years of wanting to rebel against the world and do everything dumb, my time to shine really, really came into throw when it came to going to college. Right. So I had a couple options. I always knew I wanted to go away. Didn't really know why, like whatsoever. So I'd gotten into football my third year of high school and started kind of getting my shit together. Stopped smoking weed, stopped doing stupid stuff, started going out late at night a lot less, and just being a lot more responsible for myself. Fell in love with just working out and going hard 6 days a week. Used to work out 7 times a week over 5 days with a couple people. And it was phenomenal. It was more than I could ever ask for. So then when college came around, I was like, well, this thing's kind of fun. When I'm on my own and independent, I can be a little shit, but I can actually do some stuff too. So I knew I wanted to go away. Applied to a couple different schools, a couple in Illinois, one in Michigan. Still a little bit lazy, and so I didn't take any kind of ACT. I didn't take the writing or anything like that they didn't make you take. Didn't do anything extra. So the first place I got in, went for it. So Grand Valley State brings me to West Michigan, brings me to Allendale, brings me to Grand Rapids, brings me to my first freshman year roommate was Ben Morgenstern. It's actually Austin's. Mentioned him in the podcast before this. But one of Austin's best friends since you guys were like, what, 8, 9, something along those lines?
He moved there in 5th grade, so yeah, we're like 10 or 11, but a long time.
Yeah, no shit. Yeah, so get up to college and love everything about it, right? Love the freedom, more than I ever would have expected. And it goes good. It goes good for a little while, get some classes, So basically I was there. Initially, I wanted to go into athletic training. Loved emergency medicine. Loved everything I did in football about sports and everything about it. Wanted to be continuously, involved in that. It's a really big part of what I did. Want to inspire somebody else, and didn't really know what to do. I sat down on my first day orientation, and they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Just like, yeah, you could take these classes, you could do this, you could do that. And it's like, awesome. Sign me up for it all. When do I get my dorm? When do I get to start partying? So found the dorm. Ben Morgenstern, my first roommate. Lucky enough, we got along. We're both a little out there, but it was all good. And basically spent the first 2 years partying, that whole football portion, take my life seriously kind of thing, went on the back burner. Started skating by grades wise, paying $20,000 a year to get drunk and do drugs 4 to 5 days a week. And I mean, the American college dream of a 19-year-old child, right? And kind of about that time is when Austin and I had first met, came down, stayed at our apartment, hung out. I know we mentioned it before, but, get into some shenanigans, all kinds of fun stuff. And then kind of start helping out. Austin's coming around with this crazy cookie dough stuff that he's got. What's this thing? All I know is it makes great munchies on the weekend, but he keeps on coming down with different flavors, different tests, different things like that. It's really cool. It was super interesting. I thought, like, all right, I know this kid. He's cool. He's funny. It's like, what the hell is he doing trying to make cookie dough? Why the hell is he trying to make this work? It was a really weird idea for a business. But whatever, let's ride with it and give some honest feedback. And at the time while I was taking classes, it was kind of coming into what my junior year would have been. Was valeting at the time. Was working another job as well. And then taking some classes, and it decided, was standing out at a valet booth in the middle of January, and got a call from Austin at one point. He's like, hey, what are you doing tonight? And I was like, oh, I'm getting off work in a couple of minutes. He's like, listen, I kind of double booked myself. Basically what I got going on is I'm at this store and we're just giving out samples and kind of talking about what we do, who we are. And, by this time I'd heard the spiel about 70,000 times about Big Dipper dough and this thing being all natural and it being owned by a firefighter who's crazy and works 100 hours a week and tries to run a company. And I'm like, all right, it's enough to talk about. I'm obnoxious. Obviously I haven't breathed yet. So keep talking. So head on over there after I get out of work, meet up with Austin, gives me a couple of pointers, tells me, listen, tell them that we're firefighter owned. You get them to try it. You tell it how much it costs, where they can find it, that we're up from in northern Michigan. We're a super local product and all the good jazz. And He's like, I got to go to another store. Jetted, left. This was on a Friday night and started hanging out. People would come up and just start talking to him, see what they're about. Hey, I'll try some cookie dough today. 9 out of 10 people always say yes because, kind of stupid if you don't want to.
Who
Right?
doesn't want cookie dough? Yeah.
Exactly. And it goes well. I'm pretty sure I outsold him like 2-1. About sold like 23 units or something like that in like a day or two, and it was super fun. And I don't know. I don't really know what the timeline went like immediately after that, but like, when did you approach me? I guess what happened following that?
So that would have been like the fall of 2016, the spring of 2017, somewhere in there. And then in the spring of 2017 is like when he picked up our first real big distributor, and like we picked up Meyer, and we really started to scale their business, and then recognized the need to start bringing on a larger team to help us sample out products, help us demo products, things like that. So again, this specific timeline, I truthfully don't know it either. I can tell you by June or so, you were working for us in a pretty serious fashion, doing a lot of different demos. And
all I know is I had a freaking stock come February.
Yes.
Big ass thing full of freaking cookie dough that I had to drag in my house late at night that I didn't want anything to do with. A lot of fun. It was a hell of a lot of fun. But
that's right. Yeah. We brought the freezer down with my buddy's truck, and ended up.
By the way, some mad mentions to Colin's truck. The thing was a piece and a half.
Yeah, my buddy from Northern Michigan has this piece of shit truck, and he drove it down to Grand Rapids, and we ended up going out partying, and we came home at like 4 a.m, like 3 a.m, and my other buddy ended up like trying to drive the thing or something, and ends up like passed out drunk like in the middle of the road.
Just dumb stuff.
That was a mess, yeah. And so Jacob
back off a shift bouncing at 3:30 in the morning. Then working 3 jobs at that point. It's wake up in the morning, go do a cookie dough demo, go valet for 6 hours, running, sprinting, and then go stand at a bar, drink 6 pots of coffee, and come back home and do it all again on a Saturday. And I show up, and there's a freezer. I'm like, well, shit.
It's in the middle of the road. He was like half got it off the truck. It's like, in the middle of the road. So Jacob's serious, and we have to drag it inside at like 4 a.m. and totally tore your door up. But yeah, it was good. It was good. We got you cookie dough so you could sample out to your heart's content down there in Grand Rapids, and it worked out well.
Yeah, start hawking our wares, having some fun.
Hawking our wares. Hell
yeah. It was good stuff. It was good stuff. It's kind of came at a really good timing point, I guess, for my life to actually benefit all of us and to benefit myself too. So I had a little bit before that gotten into an interesting situation. Kind of went out partying out in Allendale when I had originally started going to school, living in Grand Rapids at that point. And woke up in a hospital the next morning with a broken nose, a couple of stitches in my face, and one hell of a concussion. And I guess kind of following that, it was good. I got a pretty nose now because they had to fix it and do all kinds of fun surgery and all that good stuff. But, after that, kind of started taking myself a little bit more seriously, thought about it. I was like, damn, what the hell am I actually doing here? That thing itself didn't bother me. And the fact that I didn't have any kind of a discontent towards anybody to do that, basically assumption I've assumed because I have none memory whatsoever of it. Got jumped walking home at some point. Doctors assumed it was blunt force trauma. Shit happens. I was totally okay with it and didn't really think twice, but totally understood there was a direct consequence of what I was doing and situations I was putting myself in, and the direct neglect, of like, man, I don't really give a shit about myself. And it wasn't about that. And so kind of kicked it into high gear, picked up a third job, hawking some cookie dough. Worked it with 2 others, bumped my GPA up, and decided at that point I wanted to be a chiropractor. And so started bothering all the local chiropractors in the area, got my GPA up from a 2.0 to 2.9 in a year and a half. If you haven't done college before, it's stupid hard. I don't recommend it to anybody. Don't fucking do it. If you're going to let yourself slide and not take care of your classes, you don't deserve the 3.0. It's not worth it. But start spending a lot of time kind of looking around and really, really inspired by Austin and kind of his mission to do better, right? So he's working 100 hours a week easy between maxes and firefighting and things like that when they initially started. It's like, well, shit, these are the kind of people I need to be around. I love the guys that I've lived with. I love everybody I'm about. We're just kind of not vibing on the same frequency. We want different things. And with that being the case, I've always known that I wanted to retire my mom. Like, okay, cool. So shit, I got to pick out something that I can buy this nice woman a house for, pay back for all those nights and come home. She'd say that she wasn't hungry and we'd eat out or do whatever the hell else it was, kind of think about it a little bit later. She's not eating, so we can eat. And I don't know, it does something to you. And all that stuff kind of conglomerated together all at once. And so I started taking myself a bit more seriously. I was majoring in exercise science at that point. All I knew is that I wanted to go into something, and that was a really broad excuse that told me that I could do whatever I wanted because I kind of flunked out of the athletic training program.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, kind of ran into chiropractic. We'd had one that I used to see as a kid. Thought about it. He was doing pretty well for himself. He'd just opened up a secondary clinic. They're an all-cash business. They don't screw around with anything. And he was doing great for himself. I was like, well, shit. I like exercise. I like science. I like the human body. I like helping people out. Let's go for it. So I reached out to probably 12 or 13 offices in the Grand Rapids area. Tons of them, all wonderful people. Started asking questions, just started getting nosy, started getting out of my shell, doing all kinds of fun stuff. And ran into an office actually while we were doing an expo. We were doing the women's show or the women's expo.
Yep.
In DeVos Place in like February or something like that of 2018.
Yes.
Must have been
2017.
2017.
And you're standing on boxes.
I don't even know what goes on with it. But yeah, so we're doing a show in 2017, selling cookie dough all over the place. And that was kind of when I knew that this was like, all right, cool. I'm definitely gonna help Austin as much as I can too. On a side note, because I just got to stand there and yell at people for 14 hours for 2 days and
made some dough.
Shit ton of product. Yeah, it was stupid. And like 9,000 in cash. And we're like, damn, we're hot.
Yeah, we did well. We did real well.
But yeah, so while we were at that show, I'd run into a couple of people. It's a trade show, so everybody's got booths all over the place. There's a couple of people who'd come up, saw that they had a shirt on, said Novo Chiropractic, and they were actually talking to Austin, the main doctor that was there. He's like, oh, you guys are chiropractors. It's awesome. My buddy over here, Jacob, he's kind of helping us out. He wants to be a chiropractor. Let me grab one of your cards. I'll send him over to your booth. Just you guys got to meet. All right, cool. So I came back and actually ran into the guy's now soon-to-be wife, and went over, talked to them for a bit, and we just really, really vibed. It was Josh Kaneinenbell, the Novo Chiropractic. They're the shit. They just popped open 3 offices, and they're killing it right now, but that's a
hell yeah
story. But sat down, talked with him, kind of loved his message, loved what he was about, and loved the ideals that he kind of formed his business on. The way that he saw it was, this is chiropractic. It's got a bad rap as a whole, just because there's a lot of dishonesty that had gone on in the profession. It's a relatively emerging field in medicine, and I was all about that. And so his viewpoint on it was, hey, listen, we're here to take this shit to the masses, and I want to do it. And if we're going to do it, we got to do it right, got to do it at scale. And we got to build this thing up to the point to where we can create, a replicable office to where I can have 60 across the country and every single one's going to be the same experience all the time. Mm-hmm. I was like, damn, I could sit down and listen to him talk for 2 hours just about what their mission was. And it was just like sponging, like, yes, drink all of the Kool-Aid. And so I had started hanging around their office, and I had an internship coming up, my exercise science portion. At this time, it's my 5th year at Grand Valley. Because, surprise, surprise, it took Jacob an extra year to complete his degree. But, yeah, and started doing a lot of help out at the office, just helping in any way I could, just watching, because that was kind of the similar model that I wanted to do off of. It was sports focused. And, it was amazing. At that point, I created a mission statement for myself that I would build and operate a collaborative holistic health clinic to help spearhead the preventative medicine movement. And I was doing everything behind doing that. And it was phenomenal. That was my first experience with manifestation. And it was ridiculous. So at a 2.0 GPA, I decided that I was getting into a school over in Oregon, which is the same school that Josh recommended and that Josh had actually graduated from. It's out in Portland, beautiful place, new place. Traveling to Michigan was good for me. Figured, shit, if I can move across the country and do it even better, it'd be even better. And so just started telling everybody, like, oh, what are you doing? What are you planning? Like, oh, yeah, I'm going to school out in Oregon. Hadn't applied yet. Didn't have any kind of business with the GPA doing it. All I knew is I was in and out of the office. I was putting in the fucking time. And if it failed, I was going to look like an asshole. But if it failed, it was going to be better no matter what. So it didn't matter much, right? Spent a lot of time at the office. Grades got better. And that actually came around at a time I got an internship set up there, needed to do some field work there. And at Grand Valley, there are approved internship sites that you're allowed to do. None of them being chiropractic. There are 2 offices, and both of them were occupied. It's like, well, shit, that's what I get for finding a site really late. Talk to them. It's like, listen, I really want to do this. I'm serious about what I'm doing. At this point, Josh had actually had the balls to write me a letter of recommendation before I'd even gotten into the school. It was awesome. It's really, really
It's awesome. Yeah.
And yeah, so we made that happen. Got the internship set up as an organized portion through Grand Valley. That's something they're benefiting from now, which is really cool to hear. And at this point, Dipper had started running into some trouble. To me at this point, I was just helping out Austin with a little bit of extra cash to kind of get things going, get things moving. And, surprise, surprise, in the startup world, you grow, think you know what you're doing. You get slapped in the face a little bit, and we get hit in the face with, we're looking at going out of business in the next month or so. We don't know what we can do. And so in the fashion that Austin and I had talked previously, it's like, listen, if at any point in time things got to go south, all you got to do is let me know and we'll make it work. And gotten laid off at that point, which was okay. I needed to find another way to continue to pay bills on top of that. And somehow, I don't know how, talked Josh and Lisa into creating a position for me in the office to be paid while I did my internship at a rate that was like, listen, this is what I need to make to be able to continue to be here. And I want to do it. I'm happy to go find a job elsewhere. And they weren't about it at one point. And goes to show too, went and applied at a couple other places. And one of the other offices wanted to pick me up, and I told them about it, super excited. And 2 hours later, they came back to me with a job offer. And I'm like, fuck that, we need you here.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
Sweet to see. So I spent 8 months there, got into the chiropractic school of my fucking dreams, felt on top of the damn world. I got a following internship at the YMCA, Greater Grand Rapids, in personal training. Met the mother of my daughter at this point, the most beautiful force in my fucking world, Carolyn Andre, while bouncing. Everything was coming together, right? Life was just fucking beautiful. And after about 8 months of working in the chiropractic office and going super hard, got into the school I wanted, started looking at apartments, organizing everything. And I was spending a lot of time working with the personal trainers over at the YMCA. I realized that I hated everything about being in the chiropractic office. So I'm like, well, fuck, what do we do? I just decided this is what my life was about.
Mm-hmm.
And for the past 2 years, it was everything. I was working 20-hour days on the weekends. It was spending all this time unpaid, driving back and forth with gas money I didn't have, and everything. And I don't know. And it just wasn't for me. Just made the decision that it wasn't. And on a whim, because this is how I like to make my decisions, I called the school that I was at and rescinded my application. They're like, you can leave it open for another 4 months before you have to decide. Otherwise, you got to wait another year to apply. And I was like, yeah, I know. I don't know why. Like, I know this is stupid and it makes none sense, but I need you to close my application for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
you had to like no longer make that an option.
100%. Yeah, I had to put my back against the wall again because that was where I made my decision before. And it was lit. It was really interesting. It's really, really interesting. And, kind of lo and behold, stumbled around for a little bit after that and kept working there, obviously, because I needed to get paid. Spent another 4 months or so there. And about 2 months into that, it's about March, we had traveled out to Expo West. And I had committed that to Austin, months and like 6 or 7 months prior. Told him I was going to be there, bought the tickets and all that good noise. It's like, listen, this is still cool if you come out for that. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah. Still come out, still help, all that good noise. And so we went out, and holy shit. One, California is beautiful if you don't have to pay to be there. Something, we drove from LA up to Anaheim and Santa Monica and everything else in between. It's just stupid beautiful. So we get out there and we kill it. We talked to some of the biggest name customers all back to back to back in a 25-minute period. It felt like you're getting grilled and slapped in the face with a hot iron. And we made some good connections. Even if there wasn't a lot tangible to show immediately following the show, there was just this like overlooming just kind of like feeling that like we're doing something right. Like there's there's some big people taking their shit seriously, and it's definitely worth holding on to. And we got back, and about a week or so later, Austin had reached out to me and asked me a super important question. And he'd asked me, he's like, listen, I know we'd talked before about coming on. He'd asked me the summer prior if I'd be able to take on a larger role with Dipper and kind of help things as they grow, take on something something a bit more responsible, be able to commit some full time to the organization and follow things as they grew for the next couple of years. And same way that I like to turn down a lot of things that don't make sense, I turned it down at that time to continue in chiropractic. And so we revisited in March, and yeah, and it was all about it. At that time I was still kind of half-assed in the water, said I was going to be a personal trainer and that's what I was going to do. Going to move down to Austin, Texas, and still try and help grow the business from there. But things happened in a really interesting fashion, and as soon as we got everything planned to move to Austin come April, Carolyn and I found out we were having a beautiful baby girl. And so it doesn't make all that much sense to move 2,000 miles away from everything family and helpful resource related when you're 22 and have a baby on the way. So we decided we were staying in Michigan. And that was even bigger help. I took on a big full-time role in Dipper about April. Started working on sales with some new food service pails that we had and just going at the fucking grindstone.
Mm-hmm.
You say, wait, decide you're staying in Grand Rapids. Well, and then I decided we were moving to Detroit. And then we decided we might move to Cincinnati, and making all these wonderful decisions along the fucking way. And lo and behold, we end up here with a lot of time, a lot of hours in, a lot of fun, a lot of mistakes made, and we'll be moving to Chicago at June the latest, and taking this thing world fucking wide to some extent, and giving you guys some phenomenal content to watch along the way.
Yeah. I mean, I think you embodied your story pretty well. It's exactly what the next step is, and it's through our journey, through everything. Whether business or life, whatever else, there's so many opportunities that come up, and I think something we're both recognizing is to that it's good or fulfilling to always be active and always be trying new things. Sometimes you just kind of gotta kind of plant your flag in one spot and only focus on one thing at a time. Whether that's move or that's strategy for the business or whatever it is. That can be super distracting if you try to stretch yourself too thin to doing too many different things at once.
Yeah, 100%. 10 out of 10 do not recommend working 3 full-time jobs trying to figure out what you want to do with your life. And I don't even know what the hell else you were doing too. It's nuts, but it's good. We're going in a good direction. It's a lot of stuff figured out and nothing better. And yeah, and definitely, like you said, it's the willingness to commit, right? Because you get approached with all these cool, fun things. We like to call them shiny objects. You're like, oh, I could be so good at this, and this could do so much good for me. And you realize that the amount of time that it takes to commit to that or what it pulls away from totally isn't worth it in the long run. Instead, you spend a time, going 18 different directions in this big square room that's got 17 hallways. And all you do is run down one and come the fuck back and go down to the other. There's really only a couple different ways out if you commit, but it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Definitely, and both business and life. Sometimes it's so hard to know what the right decision is. In terms of where to move or where to position the business or what new vertical to start targeting. It's not always easy to understand or to even get all the information or figure out information you need to get to make the proper decision in terms of where to go. I know it's something we've both been restless personally, and the business, we've definitely haven't been super focused on one specific vertical to date. That's all been changing. And I suppose we're young. That's all part of just the learning process, and coming into the new year, we've really refined, I think, both personal strategy as well as business strategy to focus on one thing at a time,
In a matter of about 2 weeks too.
Yeah.
We've really cut it in on the deadline.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You talk about having your back to the wall, right? That's often seems to be where the biggest decisions are made, and then it's not only making that decision, but then also sticking to it, regardless of and it's at the same time it's making a decision, sticking to it, but then also trying to figure out like when the hell, if your gut's trying to tell you to do something else, when the hell to listen to that, when the hell do you tell it to shut up? It's not always clear. Always clear.
Never clear. It's always funny. It's good though.
It's such as life.
Exactly. And so the goal is to move forward, with the time that Austin and I have spent together. In short, our stories merge up here. We both know we want to do a lot of different things when it comes to, business-wise, personal life-wise, and that for some reason or another, we work really well together. And there's a lot of work to be done, in the future. And so right now that project's Dipper. It's amazing. I'm going to do it. I'm going to scale it up as best possible, grow the thing into a fucking powerhouse, and be a good return for us. But also one of the reasons we're kind of making this podcast and making a lot of decisions that we are is we want to be a positive impact in everything else that we create too. Right now taking on just wear a lot of different hats, employee of the business, loving it, living it, and hopefully to contribute to other things moving forward and start some of my own independent projects. I still definitely want to work in the health space eventually. Big goal is still, my mom's decided at this point she wants to travel the country in a fucking RV. So my commitment to buying her a house has now changed to a / with an asterisk RV on it. But
That's awesome.
it costs about the same damn much as a house. So it's all good. The goals are there. We're doing everything for it. We're excited. The little family's really, really happy to be moving down to Chicago. We got a lot of adventures on the way. Carolyn and I will be dropping some serious money in real estate. You watch right now. Nobody's watching, but the Detroit housing market, Detroit rental market is going to be fat. Run it. Be serious. But yeah, just kind of going along and learning everything that I can at this point in time, contributing everything that I can at this point in time, because there's one thing that I do have, and it's a lot of fucking time. And we all do, right? And so just focusing that on good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, it can become very easy to, it can take you out the press, start wasting your time on things that don't bring you value or don't get you closer to your goals, which is, it's important to lay those out, figure out where the hell you want to go, or even, what the hell in a rough general direction of where you want to be, and, making the decisions, business, personal, whatever it is, to get you closer to where you want to be and stay further away from where you're at, or where you're not happy with ending up, so. Yeah, Chicago's a big move. I just moved down here myself. Never lived in Chicago before. Never lived anywhere outside of northern Michigan. So it was a very spontaneous move, but it was definitely the right decision. So
yeah, well, 100%, 100%. Makes you realize that it's the simple things that really matter, right? If you could drop your ass from rural northern Michigan into Chicago and not much changes, you just get a fancy office where the lights turn off automatically instead of a kitchen to work out of, or a desk to work out of, or a van to work out of. Fun fact, so the Chronicles of the Van is going to get its own fucking podcast.
Oh, definitely.
At some point in time.
There'll be a couple.
Yeah, that's for a later date, but there's a legacy of minivans in Big Dipper history.
I did just get my payment for that minivan in New Jersey. So she's gone. She's gone.
Wow. What at? What'd you get for it?
$200. So
$200. It's hilarious. I got $200 for the old one at that.
Hell yeah. Spent $900 on that thing. she really helped us grow Dipper. So yeah, we got a good life out of it.
Miles out of it in a year, 2 years. Disgusting. So people, if you don't know, when you go to buy insurance on a car, the normal amount that they assume that you're going to drive in a year is $15,000. If you drive 20,000 or higher, they raise your rates because it's higher increased. I don't think anybody knew or expected that the van would get 47,000 miles on it in the first year, but it happened.
Yeah,
it did. But yeah, we ramble. Yeah, we got a lot more episodes to create, a lot more content to bring out for you guys, and nothing really comes with the purpose at this point. It's not entirely focused. All we know for sure is that we're on a little bit of an interesting and unique journey at this point, and there's a lot that we're learning, and anything that we learn, can be translated, communicated, whatever it is. We spent the past 3 years learning from others, and that's got us 90% of where we are today. And so anything that we could share, help, contribute, give blunders on, whether that's how to do emergency brake jobs on a minivan in a Walmart parking lot, or whether that's, how to make a quick-handed decision when you're about to run out of money and you don't know what the fuck to do. That's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being honest, I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the days, like truthfully speaking, and yeah, I mean, there's not really a guide or a mentor or a father figure, anybody to kind of show us what the hell to do. So that's, I mean, that's definitely the biggest intent behind the podcast. Instead, it's this will be episode 2. I know there'll be plenty more in the future, but we don't necessarily have a specific intent, as Jacob said. I mean, we're learning a lot through the business, learning a lot personally. Yeah, and just want to share the knowledge that we get back, and as we continue to grow, it'd be awesome to look back of where we're at today. We're doing a couple 100,000 a year in sales compared to a couple of years from now, and we're doing a couple million in sales, a couple 100 million in sales. And yeah, we got multiple businesses and things like that. So the lessons we learned and, hope to facilitate, I mean, sharing the knowledge that we gain and the ideas that we have, and hope to facilitate, the building of a community, of a tribe around people that want to get better and make money and, become smarter and take better care of their families and their loved ones. And yeah, we aim to give back, aim to help the future, aim to help humanity. And I mean, the business, helps us do that through the allocation of funds that we, profits we receive through the business. We can help different foundations and people, and then through something like this, we can help share the knowledge that we gain to help other entrepreneurs and business owners and human beings. And excited to see where this goes. Excited to see what exactly we make out of it. So
Exactly. Right now you're watching a couple of, I don't know, how old are you? 23?
23. You're 23.
Yeah, I'm 23. Nice job. Happy birthday. Two
Happy
23
birthday.
year olds just kind of screw around and make things work with a phenomenal leading source. So kudos.
Mhm.
But yeah, and it would be a lot easier to kind of start this podcast off and release it to you guys 7-8 years from now when we know what the fuck we're doing and they don't feel on the daily basis like maybe you totally don't belong in this space. You don't really have to clue what you're doing. And awesome, I just spent 8 hours working on something. Like, well, shit, like why would I even do that? There's no point to this, and it all just kind of goes out the window 30 seconds later. But that's the valuable stuff, right? That's the process. That's the learning point. And hopefully, if you sit here and you spend the time listening to us ramble for 30, 40 minutes now, 8-9 years from now, when it's valuable information, then we can give back and give some serious value. Hook you up with some free sweet seminars or a wonderful book written by yours truly, or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, I digress.
One day at a time, just trying to document the journey.
Exactly. All right, y'all. Well, thank you guys for joining tonight. Like Austin said, we're documenting the journey one single day at a time. And never forget, we are always living it raw.
Living it raw. Fuck yeah, people. Thank you. Cool.